Flask permanent session, where to define them? By default, Flask uses volatile sessions, which means the session cookie is set to expire when browser closes. In order to use permanent sessions, which will use a cookie with a defined expiration date, one should set session.permanent equals true, as is mentioned in this question, and the expiration date will be set based on config permanent_session_lifetime. I am surprised that session lifetime is defined in config file, yet it is not possible to request the use of permanent sessions through configuration, such as a config use_permanent_session equals true. But so be it. My question is, if you do want permanent sessions, what is the best place to define them? Is it in an @app.before_request function as proposed in mentioned question? But that would mean setting it over again at each request? It seems that once set, session.permanent remains true till end of session. Permanent sessions are generally used after sign-in, so maybe the best place to request them is while processing login_user? So is the best policy to use volatile session cookies for all anonymous pages, and switch to permanent sessions by doing a session.permanent equals true at sign-in? And one might want to set a different lifetime depending on whether it is the ordinary session cookie, or the remember_me cookie. What would be the best way to achieve this?
I'm surprised no one has answered this question. It seems like there should be some type of config variable session_permanent equals true, but unfortunately there isn't. As you mentioned, this is the best way to do it.
I choose what you said, login_user. If it's set at app before_request, this will lead to set them too many times.
Should you use permanent_session_lifetime and session.permanent? What you actually want to do is probably expiring user sign-in status. However, this configuration expires the session object or cookie, which contains the user sign-in status, as well as if potentially some other data that you stored in session. Do you need to set session.permanent? According to Flask's doc, Flask's default cookie implementation validates that the cryptographic signature is not older than this value. Session.permanent is an add-on of permanent_session_lifetime. Sometimes it is okay if you do not set session.permanent to true. If you do not set session.permanent, the session cookie's lifetime will not be affected by permanent_session_lifetime. But Flask will look at permanent_session_lifetime and a timestamp in the session cookie to see if the session cookie is still valid. If the timestamp is too older than specified by permanent_session_lifetime, it will be ignored. But the cookie still exists. This is how Flask ignores session cookie. If you set session.permanent equals true, the validation will still be done. And what's more, the session cookie will expire and be deleted from the browser after permanent_session_lifetime. This is how permanent_session_lifetime control the expiration of the cookie. Do you need to set session.permanent for every request? Session.permanent by default is actually session_permanent. Its value will stay in session. But if you are going to assign it only when users sign in, keep alert by checking how users can bypass the sign-in route to sign in. For example, by signing up.
As at HuluVuvu13 indicated in his comment to Mikey's reply, with a dead link, you could use the Flask session extension to get full control over your Flask sessions. It lets you configure the session-specific parameters when setting up the application. Although the code above is actually pointless since the Flask session extension default value for session_permanent is true. Session_permanent, whether use permanent session or not, default to be true only since the default value.
If you want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.